Hey, it's Matt Pinfield here at KCSN, the SoCal Sound, and I'm here with Grant Lee Phillips, and I'm so excited to see you because, man, we haven't seen each other since, we really haven't run into each other since 2011,
Okay.
and I'll explain that in a minute, but just want to tell everybody, thank you for supporting public media and continue to support public media and public radio, which is what we are, and man, where else would I get to interview my friend, Grant, and places like, I don't know, this is where, if you love music, this is where you are, and for me, it's just amazing. So, Grant, it's so good to see you. Last time we were together, I was hosting Bob Mould's tribute night at the Walt Disney Music Hall.
Right.
And it was around the time that Bob, a little bit after he put out his book, See a Little Light, and the celebration was called See a Little Light. It's been available for fans for a long time, to actually see that concert, but it was incredible. It was, our friends were there. It was like, you and I and Margaret Cho and, and Britt and Spoon and Dave Grohl and, and No Age. So, and, and John Worcester from Supertruck who also plays in Bob's band and, those guys. But it was just an incredible night. And I loved that experience that we had there, all celebrating Bob's music with Husker Du, his solo stuff, and Sugar. It was great.
Right. Yeah, it was really special.
It was a fun time. And so lots happened in our lives since then. But the great news is, you got this new record coming out called In the Hour of Dust. And, we've already heard a few songs off this record, but I'm just very excited about the record because the songs that we have heard, we really love. And there's, in what I think is one of the things that's always been a great characteristic of your music is how descriptive and how cinematic the lyrics have always been to me. For me, I've always felt that you had an incredible way of painting a canvas lyrically, and you've been able to do that for a long time through your solo records, which, in an hour, of course, in over a dozen, and then, the stuff that you did, because I was a huge fan of Grant Lee Buffalo, too. Right. Loved the band. So, can we talk about this new record now?
Sure.
You've been living in Nashville for quite a few years now, right?
Quite, yeah. Soon after I saw you, by the end of 2013, we had moved from LA to Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been out there since. Big shift, as you can imagine.
Yeah, and you got to Nashville before like the massive migration. There's been a lot more.
Yeah, I guess so. There. Yeah, I suppose when I moved there, I had that sort of association of all of the interesting '60s country music that came out of there, or somewhere near there.
Yeah, there's so much great stuff.
Glenn Campbell, or that kind of stuff.
Yeah, which is so great. Like you and I have talked about it before, like Wichita Lineman and Galveston, and all. By the time I get to Phoenix,
right.
Oh, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so many great things, right? But he's so important.
Yeah, my parents, they played a lot of records around the house. My dad was born in Arkansas. My mother was born in Okemah, Oklahoma, and so there was that love of country music, among other things. My mother loved the Carpenters as well, but but a lot of that swirling around, and as a young musician, it kind of finds its way, and it continues to swirl.
Yeah. That's great. And you were being exposed to music as a kid.
Yeah,
there was always music playing in the house.
Yeah, I think so. 1970s, driving around with my mother. That was a great time for depressing songs on the radio.
There really was.
The golden age of depressing songs.
Yeah, it was, because, there was a real singer-songwriter thing going on, but it was also, even if it wasn't, it was just like that was the period where it really broke through about like from 70. It was certainly starting at the end of the 60s, right? With Crosby, Stills, Nash and people like, obviously Neil Young's his solo stuff. It was all starting to kind of break through with James Taylor and everything else, and Carole King, and it was really breaking through. And then but there were a lot of great songs, and radio played a lot of those great pop songs, which are just, it was amazing that stuff like that was absolutely so popular.
Oh yeah, I think so. There were other eras, as to follow, and concurrent movements as well. That's the wild thing. You when you stop and think of what was going on in England at the same time that some of these songs we're talking about.
Yeah, because that's when all of a sudden we had T-Rex and Bowie, and you know what I mean, and Roxy and Slade.
Yeah, but I kind of love all that stuff.
It's all great,
It all gets thrown in the blender in some way.
Yeah. Tell me about you. How old were you when you started playing guitar and started finding an interest in songwriting?
Oh goodness! Well, I used to pick up Songwriter magazine, Hits magazine. This was maybe when I must have been about 11 or 12, maybe a little. Elton John used to you could find the lyrics to all of his songs inside the great gatefold sleeves. And I really took to those things. But guitar for me was about 13.
Yeah.
And about the minute I learned a couple of chords, and I was
Did you play piano as well?
We didn't have a piano in our house. We had what they call a little chord organ.
Yeah.
You can hit a button and it says A minor, and another one says F minor. And I quickly realized that's how you make haunted house music if you hit the right.
Exactly.
Like that,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. But that's great. But yeah, I know what you're talking about with those Elton things, and having the lyrics is the one way that was so important to be able to follow. And the magazines that you're talking about, for people that are watching that are wondering, of course, yeah, they used to have these magazines that would have the lyrics to all the pop songs that were coming out, or maybe if it was country, depending on, but it had everything. I mean, it really did. R&B songs, pop songs, Oh,
yeah, yeah. The OJs or, you name it. Everything that was on the radio. And it's a good education for having a visual understanding of how a song works, the building blocks.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it, and I probably wrote songs for well into my 20s before I stopped and realized I think I might be a songwriter because I keep writing these songs. But I didn't really, wasn't that conscious, really.
Yeah, who were your favorites? Because I know you talk about what your...
Oh, goodness.
I mean, I'm sure you listened to everything, but was there certain people?
Well, the artists that made the big dent, and you may recall this when we talked for a long time back in the day. Bowie was a huge one for me.
Yeah.
Kind of that conduit, through Bowie. One, you're going to discover this enormous catalog of songs, but you discover all these other artists. Perhaps it might be Iggy Pop, or it might be
or
Brian Eno.
Yeah.
For me, Bertolt Brecht.
Yeah, right.
Kurt Weill, because of the BBC production that he did of that one-act play. So many different artists that I came to know.
Yeah, Bowie was a big kind of for me too. I mean, which I got to actually tell him.
You did.
You know what I mean? As we sat on couches across from each other at his place, it was I got to tell him that, like I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for you opening up my eyes to a whole other world.
Velvet Underground as well.
Yeah.
All right.
He was the first one who really respected and cared about Velvets and Lou and incorporated it in the songwriting style.
Yeah. Isn't that wild? Like one artist that can be the gateway, the gateway drug to so many.
Yeah.
But that was a big one, I mean, Queen. I was, young kid trying to work out those guitar parts. I mean, I don't know that I ever did, but
for me, it was like, that stuff was so great. For me, that was the thing that was beautiful. Queen, I saw at 13 years old do Night at the Opera at the Beacon Theater in New York City.
Wow!
It was one of the greatest shows I ever saw in my life. I mean, there's shows that I remember vividly, like the Clash show with Joe Strummer, Paul Simmons smashing his bass on the cover at the New York Palladium, which I was there for one of those shows, and it was the one where he smashed his bass, and I was in the orchestra.
Oh my goodness!
Back on Mick Jones' side of the stage, but the beauty of that, of all that whole period of music and the things that you're talking about, just amazing. And
well, it was like a bomb went off at that moment as well. Where, who knows. What you would become when the dust settled. When you were exposed to the Clash or Elvis Costello or
that stuff.
Cramps. I mean, you might go down a whole different road.
It's true. It's amazing. And like I said, that Queen show just blew my mind as a kid. I'm like, what?
Oh yeah.
You have to see that at 13 and then wonder what everything after that is a little different, right?
Right. Coming to LA in '83 was the big kind of turning point for me, I guess. I was 19, I guess, and my roommate, bandmate, Jeff Clark, and we were going to the Café de Grande, these kind of nice sort of underground punk clubs.
Yeah, what kind of stuff were you seeing then?
What an energy, what an energy that was happening right here, just bubbling up like the La Brea tar pits.
Yeah.
And I mean, there were already bands that were making a name for themselves, like X, for instance.
Yeah, they're so great. See the Blasters
of
back
course,
then, See Gun Club back then and people like that, or
a whole bunch.
Some of that old cowpunk scene too, right? And all that
yes, Tex and the Horseheads.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
I mean, it was just a really exciting time to be here. You know, the clubs where I could manage to get in before when I wasn't quite old enough.
Yeah.
You know, but
That's the great thing about you and I being around the same age or close to the same age. Is, yeah, we got into clubs underage. It was perfect because, you know, you wanted to go see bands. So,
right.
you know, but
Yeah.
there was a drinking age, but you just kind of like, you know, they weren't as strict.
Right. The doorman might have been underage as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And some of the bands. I mean, you know, Del Fuegos. They
Man.
couldn't have been that old when they played
They were great.
here in LA. Yeah.
Yeah, Don't Run Wild. Remember that? I love those songs.
I wanted to be a part of that, you know, and
Yeah.
out of that, you know, the first bands that I was a part of, Yeshiva Burlesque and Grantley Buffalo, kind of grew out of that.
Yeah. Did you get to play with a lot of those bands too that were coming out at that period of time, like Guadalcanal Diary or?
Yeah, I mean, you know,
Because there is a history with you, even in your ancestry, with Trail of Tears, which is a great Guadalcanal Diary
Oh
song.
goodness, yeah. I'm an enrolled citizen of the Muskogee Creek Nation. That you're speaking of that. Yeah. I mean, I can remember we did some shows, independent projects. Bruce Leitcher. I don't know if you ever ran into Bruce and everything. He ran a fantastic label, and soon to celebrate something like 50 years or something like that in existence. But we did shows, you know, we did benefits. John Jardell was on one of those benefits, I recall. And man, I'd have to rack my brain. You know, we opened, one of the first tours we did with Grantley Buffalo was opening for Bob Mould with Sugar. That was 93, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, and even before that, he had a hand in putting out our first single.
Yeah, because he put out this single that was on the on his singles only label, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
let's talk about that. So that was cool. How did that friendship start up? Did you
I
just
think
send him some
it kind of
music?
developed through you know, we hadn't really met him before that tour, but he had taken a shine to that song, you know.
Yeah.
And it wound up getting played quite a bit on a number of stations back east, most especially, you know,
Yeah.
WFNX
Yeah.
in Boston.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Great radio station.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's amazing. So we look at all. I mean, it's been quite an incredible trajectory of time, and you know, and you were signed to Slash, which was a great label out
Oh
here.
yeah, that's right.
Because it
Yeah,
was you guys.
Dream Syndicate.
Yeah, Dream Syndicate, man.
Los
You know,
Lobos.
tell me when it's over. Like all that stuff was so good.
Yeah, and our peers,
Some
you know.
Wines and Roses, and then, like you said, and there was X, and there was, you know, things like the Gun Club, and you know, I mean, there's always something going on in that period of time, right?
There was a lot going on. Yeah.
And you felt at home with like a place like when Slash signed you guys originally, right?
Well, yeah, most certainly. You know, and it felt like we had the freedom to explore.
Yeah.
And yet somehow or another this record was going to come out
Through war.
and the light of day, and
Yes.
then ultimately, distributed through Warner Brothers and other labels overseas.
Yes.
However, the plumbing works and everything, you know, with
Yeah.
that stuff. But that meant a whole lot. It was a very different time, I think.
I think it was great that it was that time where, you know, there was that much interest in new and up and coming bands.
Yeah,
It's really
yeah.
important.
I felt like kind of a really like a renaissance of some sort.
Yeah. What was that experience like when you started to see that things were starting at that period of time with Grantley Buffalo? You know, there was a lot of interest, and all of a sudden radio was starting to pick up on things like Mockingbirds and
Yeah. I mean, it was fluky because, you know, it's that Mockingbirds is a very different kind of song. I don't think there was a lot of songs like that. None.
that was the
on the
beauty
radio,
of it,
you know.
though. That was the thing. It just
But it didn't seem so far-fetched that maybe it could slot in. And I think kind of as a writer, you're always you've got this notion that, you know, there's a big wall, but there must be one little brick that you can
find a way through
mine,
that.
you know?
Yeah, exactly. Which is great.
just a
Yeah.
sliver. And it was pretty cool when that happened, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, Beavis and Butthead took a liking to it.
Yeah.
For whatever that is worth. I got a kick out of that. And I still play the song.
Yeah. Oh, the song is phenomenal. You know, it's great. And there's been so many great chicks. Talk to me about making In the Hour of Dust. And is the title reflective of just the way that things, I mean, there's a lot of different things, imagery you can get from some of the like that.
I guess
There's the American Dust Bowl to just the way that things have been like with the world and the condition of everything these days. Tell me a bit about that.
Well, it's interesting you make that connection. That was definitely a confluence of disasters, plural.
Yes.
You know, the Dust Bowl period. You know, of course.
Yeah.
You know, the Great Depression, and then this environmental catastrophe,
Which was insane, right?
Yeah. I have always been fascinated with that particular period, you know, and figures like Woody Guthrie, who also chronicled that period of time.
Yes.
But, you know, in the case of this album here, the songs themselves, like a fair amount of my songs, I'm trying to kind of give voice to a certain feeling, and it might be a feeling of anxiety, uncertainty, trying to wrap my arms around that, and asking, what is this moment? What is this thing? You know, feeling my way around this beast of a moment.
Yeah.
I became interested in painting a great deal over the last number of years. I'd made a trip to Norton Simon when I still lived here. Norton Simon's a great museum in Pasadena.
Yeah.
There was a painting called In the Hour of Cow Dust, or just Hour of Cow Dust, I believe.
Yeah.
And it references a moment in the day in India where the cows are led home, and in doing so, it stirs up the dust, and it's a signal. It's that call to bring out the lanterns, prepare yourself, for night is about to fall.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, that's really kind of that's a very visceral kind of thing. You know, I think that's got some meat on the bone. I just wrote it down. I mean, this was years ago.
Yeah.
And I kind of revisited that when I began looking at these songs and going through various, you know, going through the lyrics, going through the artwork that I had created myself. I had an image that I'd painted that was sort of a somewhat dusty scene in its own way.
Now, Little Men, tell me about that song.
Little Men. Yeah, that's one of the first singles off the album. It's tackling that terrible tradition of strong men that we've seen throughout the ages, you know, little men with grandiose ambitions that have, you know, that wind up taking a very brutal path.
Yeah.
You know, but at the heart of it, really, I'm of the belief that, you know, studying history, those type of people, they don't hold on to power forever. No. You know, it's so, you know, I advise anyone to read history. You know, most especially those who want to surmount it and bury it.
Yeah. Yeah, because history is very important.
It is.
In every aspect of it, from music to you know, I mean, it's a real. So I found that song to be. I thought it was a great way to kick things off for this record. You know what I mean? In that period of time.
Yeah, it has an energy to it. It seems some songs they claim the position. I'm going to be first in line. And
yeah. Now She Knows Me. Tell me about that too. Like,
She Knows Me is a real personal one. That's one of the first ones I wrote. I was out on the road just plunking along, and you know, it's really a song about my connection to my wife of so many years.
You've been together for a long time, right? Like,
oh yeah. And you know, that person in my life, maybe you have that person in your life where you feel like they know you better than you know yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
When you know.
Yeah.
When you've forgotten what do I think about this? Where am I?
Yeah.
They can help you get back to that point.
Yeah.
You know, kind of reel me down from the
the
branch that I've got myself out on.
Exactly, and also remind you of the good qualities that you have and everything.
Yeah, I value
be,
that. You know, and that's the thing. I mean, it's easy to get lost in the miasma of anxiety and all of this these days, but we have to hang on to those things that they mean something to us. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, that's what we fight for. That's what we live for.
Yeah, you know, I gotta, you know. And some of the other, you know, there's some really interesting imagery in the record too. I love when you talk about, like, you know, self-driving cars and, you know, people turning on each other. It's very that descriptive thing is, you know, it's interesting because, you know, as a person who's seen how technology has changed things so quickly.
Yeah.
You always make sure people hold on to humanity as well.
Yes.
It's one of the things that's super important.
That's
so
right.
tell me about that song.
Well, goodness, I wrote the song. I had made a trip up to up north. I was playing a show in Northern California and driving through San Francisco, and it was the first time I'd seen quote unquote driverless cars.
Yeah. You're talking about Market Street there in the lyric.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's freaky when you first see it. I mean, I don't know. Some people may love that thing. I'm not necessarily sure I want to get in the back of one. You know what I mean? To be honest with you.
Yeah, that might be. I might just be a control freak, but I like to do the driving.
Yeah.
Driverless cars on Market Street, around every corner.
Yeah,
But
I
what
love
is
that
to
line.
stop us before we turn on each other.
That's the lyric that I love that.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I mean, maybe
It stood out to me immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's the fear of this slipping out of our hands. Where is this going?
Yeah.
Are we losing hold of humanity?
Yeah.
As technology continues to accelerate.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a rental car that I took out here, and I can't figure out how to turn anything on.
Yeah.
It's too advanced for me.
Yeah. Some of it, I'm like, is it confusing on purpose?
I think it is.
It's like, we don't want you to figure out any of this stuff. And by the way, you now cannot change the oil on your own car, no matter what you want to do.
Right. You can't crack open your iPhone.
Yeah.
I mean, I never really did, but some people do. Some people like to do that.
Yeah. Tell me about the other song that you played. I love that one. You making it through the night. Tell me a bit.
You are speaking of, did you make it through the night?
Yeah,
Okay.
I love that. How many times have you had to say that to somebody in your life, or you because you were worried about them going?
Oh, well, you know what? I latched on to that phrase during the pandemic. I took a course, a language course that was offered by the Muskogee Creek Nation language course or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was really great. You get up in the morning and log in, and you would learn phrases and some basic speech. There's no word for good morning in the language of the Muskogee Creek, but there is a phrase, and it's like "estongan jug hayadega" is how you say it, and something to that effect. And it means, "Did you make it through the night okay?" And I think that's perfect. That's just perfect,
It's a great song title.
Yeah, and it feels appropriate for the times.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily have to be, ominous.
Yeah.
Either one. It doesn't have to be something that you would fear. I stood out on the porch back home in Tennessee a couple of summers ago, and I saw the Northern Lights. You're not supposed to see the Northern Lights in that part of the country, but it was astounding. So maybe kind of like preparing myself, being open to the fantastic unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Now, so tell me about when you're on the road now, Grant, are you performing by yourself? Or
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing it that way for
it's been a while.
ever now. Yeah. I make records with my friends and we go in the studio, but even when I do, I'm often kind of carrying that little seed of voice and guitar, and we're building around that,
Yeah.
So that's still, you can kind of make that out in the recording,
Yeah. I know what's great is, we've talked about every kind of, whether it's be on camera here or on the air or off camera, everything from Gordon Lightfoot to Elvis Costello. I mean, who are some of the artists that I know Elvis you're a huge fan of, but who are some of the other people that have really been important to you throughout time? Like, I mean, do you look at Elvis's career since '77 and you think about?
Yeah, I mean, there are those, that made a big dent on me early on. Neil Young was certainly, Dylan.
Yeah.
Goodness. The Beatles, of course, Lennon, and there are albums of George Harrison, most certainly.
Yeah.
In terms of my real kind of early beginnings as a musician, soaking up that kind of stuff. But I will also admit that, when I came to LA in '83, I'm listening to Nick Cave, and I'm listening to The Cure, and I'm listening to a lot of English stuff actually. Buzzcocks. And,
one of my favorite bands of all time.
Those are fantastic
Pete
songs.
Shelley, and like Steve Diggle, those guys together. It was those songs. Singles Gone Steady.
Yeah.
8 of the greatest singles on one album, just put together as the A and the B side. But I love those records.
Yeah, they're amazing records. REM. Joy Division.
I was into all that stuff.
Smiths, of course.
Yes.
Susie and the Banshees.
Yeah.
I
loved all of that.
Yeah. So it's kind of somehow.
And we still play a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's held up. What's amazing is how much of it is really held up. It's just.
I go back and listen to it, and I think this. I covered some of my favorite songs from the 80s on an album called 1980s.
Right, that one
and
was
it's
cool.
like campfire versions.
And you did everything on it. Tell me about
I did everything I could remember.
Yeah.
I didn't want to Google it or study it too hard. I just kind of, I don't know if that was ill-advised.
You love Echo, you love bands like that.
Oh yeah, right. Echo, and Robin Hitchcock.
Yeah, of course you did.
And but Robin is an artist of 2025 as well. He doesn't stop making albums.
Yeah.
And nor has John Doe or a lot of my people who I consider dear friends.
Yeah.
At this point, I mean, there were people like.
Do you see John in Nashville sometimes? Or?
Yeah, we play together every now and then. John and I, Kristen Hirsch and I, we go out now and then together and do like kind of a trio thing called Exile Follies, and we trade off songs. Kristen does 20, I do 20, and then we'd get together, and we've been doing this off and on since about 2000.
Wow.
I guess, yeah.
That's great.
I mean, there are big gaps in between.
Do you guys do your own songs, or do you do covers, or both?
We do
each other's
a little bit of
songs?
both. We do, we join each other on each other's songs, and then we'll do a cover, I mean, John knows a lot of cover songs as well. I mean, we've done Sing Me Back Home. Some of the ones that he's covered over the years. Memphis Minnie's version of When the Levee Breaks.
Yeah, which is so great, yeah. I mean, he did Breathless, all those things.
So I love that kind of thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure you knew Kristen through the years of Throwing Muses and stuff that she did.
I met Kristen. Well, she had just she was just beginning to make. She might have had just made Hips and Makers a year or so before, and I was crazy for that record. It was a great record.
Yeah.
So, I think she was kind of stepping aside from Muses at that moment when I'm around 2000.
Yeah.
But they never really disbanded. As I understand, they would just kind of come back to it when it was right.
When they were in the mood.
Yeah. There were artists here in LA, who I count as Amy Mann. There are peers of mine, and if I listen to them, I will go. It'll probably come out somewhere. I have to be careful. Yeah. Elliott Smith was, he was really special artist who got to know a bit at Largo. And that was sort of our musical clubhouse there. A lot of us, my friend John Bryan, still a dear friend, and
and John, done so much great production as well as all this stuff. What do we think about it? Yeah, Elliott, way too young.
Oh yeah, but it has not of course he hasn't gone away.
No,
his music is there's new people every day that discover his music.
Yeah, last week was the anniversary of XO, which was such a great album.
Yeah.
Bottle Up and Explode and Baby Britain and all those things.
There were a couple different artists around that particular time when that album came out, and some of the Gillian Welch albums came out as well. Revelator, that just kind of just made my head spin. Yeah. And did so with such an economy. Yeah. I just thought,
amazing
wow,
that she was able to do that.
Yeah. Yes. Right.
I mean, it's so talented.
So I'm always, game for the next thing that's going to make my head spin like that.
That's great. Well, I want to say, thank you so much for this new record, which is great.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. It's exciting.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to have you back with new music again. I mean, it's always good when you come up with new stuff, right? So I want to thank you for coming by and hanging out today. Just so good to have you here.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. Pleasure.
Thanks for doing it so much. All right, so it's KCSN, SoCal Sound. I'm Matt Pinfield here with Phillips. Hope you enjoyed it, and we've got some incredible music for people to check out right now. Let's check out some Grant's music live from the brand new album, The Hour of Dust.